The iPhone 16 Pro has landed with all its shiny new features, but what about the iPhone 15 Pro? Is it pointless now? Absolutely not. In fact, it might even be the smartest iPhone purchase you can make at the moment. Here's why. And let's start off by talking about the iPhone 15 Pro's camera setup. Now, Apple are very well known for creating stellar camera systems for mobile phones, and the iPhone 15 Pro was no exception to this. And one particular feature that I really enjoyed was the night mode. Now, being primarily a Samsung user, I have to say I was pleasantly surprised with how the iPhone 15 Pro held up in this category, and even with the newer iPhone 16 Pro just being released, I'm happy to say there's no drastic updates to the night mode feature. I took a photo from my balcony looking out onto Oxford City at night, and the photos came out crisp, clear, and with minimal noise by a phone standard. Anyway, if you get lucky and find yourself a clear night sky, you can see things with your camera that you can't even see yourself. Taking photos of the moon is one great use case for this, which brings us nicely onto the 3x optical zoom. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've always felt that zoom on mobile phone cameras has been nothing more than a gimmick, producing pixelated, noisy, AI-enhanced messes, only really good for reading signs from very far away at best. But we've come a long way since then. And although your iPhone won't be replacing DSLRs anytime soon, we're making steps forward. In the right lighting conditions, you can get some pretty nice shots with the iPhone 15 Pro's 3x optical zoom. And with the abundance of third-party AI tools out there, like Topaz Labs for example, you can denoise, sharpen, and upscale to make your photos look more professional. That being said, this year's iPhone 16 Pro does come with 5x optical zoom. Whilst impressive, I very much doubt that's going to be a reason you'd pick the 16 Pro over the 15 Pro though. But enough about photos, what about videos? Again, we're not going to be replacing mirrorless cameras anytime soon. But I could comfortably say, having started my own YouTube channel with a mobile phone camera many moons ago, that you can rely on the iPhone for some amateur filmmaking. After all, you can do a lot with a bad camera with good lighting and composition. The ProRes video on the iPhone 15 Pro is perfect for capturing those precious moments and getting a little bit creative. The footage is crisp and detailed by phone standards, and what I do like about the iPhone compared to the video of, say, my Z Fold 4 is that footage appears a little bit more natural. Samsung appears to increase saturation and vibrance, which looks pretty, but it's no good for professional use. Diving further into the video features of the iPhone 15 Pro, we've got cinematic mode. Now, cinematic mode is one of those features that I didn't think that I would actually use that much, and I'm happy to report that I was wrong. I had initially thought that these kind of features were a bit of a gimmick. Usually the post-processing goes way over the top, giving an overly fake depth of field effect, but the iPhone has both surprised and impressed me here. It's effortless, good-looking footage at a touch of a button, and if the films I've seen from others are anything to go by, you could make some pretty easy professional-looking footage with this feature. Back to photos, another feature that's impressed me on the iPhone 15 Pro is its macro photography capabilities. I've been able to take some really cool close-up shots of flowers, insects, and other small objects. You can get up to 2 centimeters away, which offers users some great flexibility across the iPhone 15 Pro's whole camera setup. Again, by a phone standard, I'm pretty impressed how the iPhone 15 Pro holds up in this category. Now, I know what you're thinking now, doesn't the iPhone 16 Pro have a better camera? And it does, you are right, it has some slight improvements over the iPhone 15 Pro. But honestly, the differences aren't that huge, the biggest upgrade being that 5x optical zoom. You're probably not actually going to notice that much of a difference between the two phones. In my opinion, the iPhone 15 Pro's camera is still one of the best on the market. It's versatile, powerful, and capable of capturing stunning photos and videos, and even a year later it can still hold its own against the newer models. If you want a phone for a more amateur or even professional backup camera, it offers a lot of versatility. Okay, let's shift gears and talk about the iPhone 15 Pro performance. When it was released, it came with the A17 Pro chip, and it was an absolute beast. But how has it held up after a year of app installations and updates? Has it lost its bite? Let's find out. And I'm just gonna say it, this phone is still ridiculously fast, even 1 year later. Apps open in the blink of an eye, I can switch between a dozen apps without any lag, and it handles everything I throw at it with ease. Despite being primarily an Android user and a huge Samsung fan, I was surprised to learn that even the S24 Ultra is only just outperforming the iPhone 15 Pro's A17 chip. The A17 Pro chip saw a generational improvement of 32% for single core performance and 27% for multi-core testing, which are some pretty massive jumps. Now, alongside these blisteringly fast internal components is iOS. I don't like it personally, but I can't deny its usability, and especially for the less tech savvy. The phone handles iOS 17 like a boss, no lag, no glitches, just smooth sailing, which is what I've come to expect from iPhones in general, as they are well known for their software fluidity. Now, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to be, I am not a hardcore gamer these days. Time simply does not allow. But I put the iPhone 15 Pro through its paces and tried out some of the most graphically demanding mobile games out there. And first, I tried Call of Duty, which is probably the most popular mobile game at the moment. I ramped up all the settings and we got some really nice smooth frame rates, even when trying out the screen recorder at the same time. The iPhone 15 Pro held its own. This is largely due to its powerful chip, but also helped by the iPhone's game mode, which aims to regulate background apps and improve latency on Bluetooth controllers. Next, I tried Sky, a slightly less graphically demanding game, but still stunning. Again, I set all the settings to max and it worked without a hitch, and I definitely recommend giving this a go if you wanted. Running demanding games and being able to use screen recorders at the same time is a fine example of the iPhone 15 Pro's ability to handle multitasking like a pro. I can have multiple apps open at the same time, switch between them seamlessly, and even use the split screen mode without any hiccups. A great device for handling tasks on the go, although slightly limited by its screen size. And as this is a 1 year later review with all this multitasking and gaming going on, how has it held up 1 year later? Well, based on my experience so far, I don't think you have anything to worry about. The A17 Pro chip is a powerhouse and is built to last. I've been using this phone heavily for a year and it's still as fast and responsive as the day I got it. There's no telling what will happen over the next few years as technology progresses and software gets updated, but phones just aren't the same as they used to be. They tend to last a lot longer, and that's largely why they're more expensive. Now, back to the iPhone 16 Pro, I am well aware that this phone has an updated chip, the A18 Bionic chip, which is faster than the A17. But honestly, the difference in performance is negligible for most users. Unless you're a power user who needs the absolute best performance, the A17 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro is still more than enough. The CPU on the iPhone 16 Pro, for example, only has a 7% higher CPU clock speed, which whilst impressive, isn't going to change your experience much. In my opinion, the iPhone 15 Pro is still a performance beast. It can handle anything you throw at it, from everyday tasks to demanding games and apps. And even 1 year later, it is still one of the fastest phones on the market. But can it stand the test of time when it comes to battery life? And this is one area where smartphones tend to show their age. How has the iPhone 15 Pro's battery held up after a year of usage? Has it gone from hero to zero, or was it even ever hero at all? Let's be real, the battery health isn't going to be as good as it was a year ago, and it largely depends on the way that you use your phone and your charging habits. My partner tends to use this phone the most, and her charging habits make me want to cry. So batteries will deteriorate, and that's just the nature of batteries. And to be honest, my partner doesn't always use the correct chargers for the 15 Pro, but the battery health is still a respectable 90%. Now, depending on whether you're a glass half full or half empty kind of person, you could see this as, oh crap, it's lost 10% in just a year, or it's still relatively close to that 100% mark. I'll leave that with you to decide. Crucially though, in real world scenarios, it does tend to still make it through a full day without charging. My partner is a doctor and actually needs her phone for work, so is generally using it fairly heavily throughout the day for emails, calls, and it's making it back home with some charge left over. On longer 13-hour shifts though, a charger is still needed to get it through the day, but that has been the case since she got the phone new, to be honest. When you do need to charge, that USB-C port is an absolute lifesaver. It's so much faster than the old lightning cable, and again, as an Android user, it's something that really put me off Apple in the past, if I'm honest. The coming of the USB-C has even improved data transfer speeds by up to 20 times. No more waiting around for hours to get a full charge, and now you can use the same charger for your MacBook, your iPhone, and even your Nintendo Switch. It seems crazy to me, but some people were even worried about losing that Apple ecosystem lock-in, but to me, this seems like a good thing and a real step forward. It opens up the iPhone to a whole new world of accessories and peripherals. You can now connect your phone to external monitors, cameras, microphones, phones and even use musical instruments. The best use case for me though has been using the Razer Kishi gamepad. I'll pop a link to this down in the pinned comments. Now I do feel I have to address the elephant in the room, the iPhone 16 Pro, which does boast a slightly larger battery and slightly longer battery life. But honestly, the difference again isn't huge. We're looking at 23 hours on paper for the iPhone 15 Pro, 27 hours for the iPhone 16 Pro, and if you were interested, the Max does boast an impressive 33 hours of battery life. Again, all just numbers on a screen with the exception of the Max. It will largely depend on how you use this phone when it comes to how much battery you'll actually be getting. Unless you're a power user who's constantly on the go, the 15 Pro's battery life is still going to be more than enough for most people. So overall, in my opinion, the iPhone 15 Pro's battery life is still very good 1 year later. It should easily get you through a day of moderate usage without any problems, and with the faster charging speeds of the USB-C port now, you can quickly top it up when you need to. Now enough about batteries and charging. There is one thing that sets the iPhone 15 Pro apart from its big brother, the iPhone 16, and that is design. I'm kidding, of course, there is absolutely no sign of innovation here at all. No, I make jokes, but really it all comes down to this simple phrase: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I look at the smartphone market, just based off design alone, I like the look of the Google Pixel lineup, which has a very iPhone aesthetic to it, with the exception of the cameras. What I'm trying to say is that although the design hasn't changed much, if at all, I actually appreciate it. It looks premium, feels sleek, and the materials used are top quality. Apple made a bold move by switching to titanium for the frame, and I have to say it's a game changer. Titanium is known for being incredibly strong and lightweight. It's the same material used in high performance aircraft and spacecraft, so you know it's tough. And let me tell you, it feels amazing in the hands as well. It's got this cool, almost silky feel to it. It's definitely a step up from the stainless steel used in previous iPhones. And another thing that titanium brings is durability. So are you going to be able to break this phone? Without a doubt, yes. I don't know what it is about iPhones, but pretty much every iPhone user I know has a crack in their screen or iPhone body somewhere. So titanium is strong but not indestructible. After a year of use though, I'm happy to report that my iPhone 15 Pro has held up remarkably well. I've dropped this phone a couple of times and it's survived without any cracks or dents, but that is largely due to shelling out on one of those mouse cases and camera lens protectors, which I think have saved the phone more times than I can count. I'll pop links to them down in the pinned comment as well. Another advantage of titanium though is that it's incredibly lightweight. The iPhone 15 Pro feels noticeably lighter than previous iPhones, which makes it more comfortable to hold and use for extended periods. And interestingly, the iPhone 15 Pro wins against the iPhone 16 Pro here in this category. The 15 Pro comes in at 6.6 ounces or 187 grams, compared to the 16 Pro, which comes in at approximately 7.03 ounces or 199 grams, or approximately 2 small bananas for my friends in the USA who can't decide on a metric system. Let me know in the comments what metric system you've decided to use today. Now, the color options of the iPhone 15 Pro were a little bit more subdued than in previous years, but I think that's a good thing. The titanium gray, midnight blue, starlight, and pink colors are all very elegant and understated. They're perfect for those who want a phone that looks professional and stylish, and again, despite being a bit of a Samsung fanboy, I do wish that we had similar color options that still were bold but gave the phone a premium feel. Now, I am aware that the iPhone 16 Pro that's just come out does have a slightly more refined design, slimmer bezels, amongst a couple of other tweaks. But honestly, the iPhone 15 Pro's design is still very attractive and modern, and not all that different in reality. Action. Let's talk about that mysterious action button on the iPhone 15 Pro. When the 15 Pro was first released, everyone was like, what's the big deal? It's just an extra button. But this little action button is much more powerful than you might think. The beauty of the action button is its versatility. You can customize it to do practically anything you want. Want to launch your favorite app with a simple click? Done. Want to instantly activate Do Not Disturb mode? No problem. Want to trigger a shortcut that turns on your smart lights and starts your coffee machine? You got it. It's a magic button that can do pretty much anything you want except fix America's metric system. I'll stop now. One of the most powerful ways to use this action button is with shortcuts. Shortcuts allow you to automate complex tasks with a single click. For example, I have a shortcut that automatically sends a text message to my partner when I leave work. The possibilities are endless here if you spend a little bit of time setting it up. Now, I'm not going to pretend that the action button is perfect. There are a few potential downsides. For one, it can be a bit easy to accidentally press the button, especially if you're not used to it. Also, some people might find that the button is a little bit too small or difficult to press. And then of course we do have to take a look at the iPhone 16 Pro again. This is probably the biggest thing that's going to influence your decision here. That also comes with an action button, but it's had no crazy updates again. Where the action button is slightly more important is if you're considering an older iPhone 14 Pro. In my opinion, the action button is a great addition to the iPhone 15 Pro. It's a versatile and customizable button that can be used for a variety of tasks, and even a year later, it's still one of my favorite features on this phone and one of many solid reasons to pick an iPhone 15 Pro over an older iPhone 14 Pro. Now let's feast our eyes on the iPhone 15 Pro's display. This is one area where Apple consistently knocks it out the park, and the iPhone 15 Pro is no exception again. But how does it hold up after a year of use? Has it faded, scratched, burned in, or are there any dead pixels? Let's find out. So Apple calls this the Super Retina XDR display, and honestly that's a pretty accurate description. It's bright-ish, it's vibrant, and it's got incredible contrast. Whether you're watching movies, playing games, or just browsing the web, this display is a joy to look at, except perhaps on a very sunny day. Brightness is where I feel there could be some improvements made on the iPhone 15 Pro. It's certainly bright enough, but compared to say the S24 Ultra, which has 2600 nits of brightness, it's lagging behind ever so slightly, and you might be expecting me to finally say this is something that might make you want to pick the iPhone 16 Pro over the 15 Pro, but yet again, the 15 Pro actually wins in this category when you take into account its now lower price point. The 16 Pro is actually exactly the same in terms of brightness, even when it comes down to HDR content. The only difference being the 16 Pro can now go right down to 1 nit of brightness, perhaps making it easy on the eyes when lying in bed at night, for example. Now, another thing that makes the iPhone 15 Pro display that little bit special is ProMotion. This allows the refresh rate to dynamically adjust from 1 Hz to 120 Hz, depending on what you're doing. This means that scrolling and animations are incredibly smooth and fluid, while also conserving battery life when you're not doing anything demanding. And then we move on to the color accuracy of the display. It's also top-notch. Colors are vibrant and true to life, which is essential for watching movies, editing photos, and playing games. So really, what it's taken me just over 15 minutes to say here is that there really isn't much in it between the iPhone 15 Pro and the 16 Pro, except for one big thing, and that is the price. So if you want to go ahead and get yourself a 16 Pro, you're going to be looking at spending between $1,000 and $1,200 just for the base model. Whilst if you look in the right places, you can get a good quality iPhone 15 Pro for around $500 to $600. That is savings of between $400 and $500, which is pretty damn huge. Money, which in my opinion would be better spent on something like these, the XREAL Air 2 Pro AR glasses, something that can really elevate your mobile setup. So do let me know in the comment section what you think of the iPhone 16 Pro and 15 Pro. Is the 16 Pro worth the money at the moment? For now though, I've been Alex. This has been Tech It Easy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.